as you can see. We can also add parameters to our method so that we can decide what value we want to pass and print in the console. Let's go back and improve this method. We define a parameter inside the parentheses, and then we pass this parameter into the method body. With this approach, we can control the value ourselves. For example, we can pass the number 9 and print it in the console. What was highlighted in red meant that there were an error in another class. In our case, we simply needed to pass a number into our method because when a method has parameters, they must be provided when the method is called. So in our case, we just pass the number 9 into the method. A method can have an undefined numbers of parameters. You just need to separate them with commas. This means it can have 3, 4, 5, or even more parameters. There is no fixed limit. Let's create another method with parameters. We will name it addNums and use it in our class. This method will perform addition. Now let's use it in the main class. As we can see, our method works and returns the result 7. Besides addition, there are other arithmetic operations such as multiplication, division, subtraction, and so on. So now let's write examples for all of them. There is also another arithmetic operation called modules, which is used for integers. It shows the remainder after division. In other words, how much is left over. Now let's call all these methods in the main class to see the result. As you can see, I added labels for each operation, so it's clearly what kind of action is being performed. Now let's talk about assignment operators and what we can do with them. For example, we have a variable. Now we want to add 100 to it. As you can see, we are increasing the value by 100, but we can write this in shorter way. This gives us exactly the same result. This is called a compound assignment operator. It's basically the same operation, just written in a shorter form. We can also use it with other operations like subtraction, multiplication, division, and remainder. In practice, this means the variable performs an operation with the given value. In our case, we have a variable with the value 1000 and we simply add 100 to it. The same idea applies to other operations as well. Now let's talk about conditions and logical operation. We'll write a simple method that adds numbers if they are greater than or equal to 5. Equal means that 5 is so included. As you can see, the variable must be greater than or equal to 5. If it meets the condition, the operation will be executed. If not, we will see this message in the console. Okay, let's see it. Okay, here, Boolean values means that there are only two possible options, true or false. We can also write these conditions directly using a Boolean expression like this. It can be placed inside the conditions because the result is always either true or false. There is no other option. There is another operator called the logical NOT operator. It is written as this. This operator reverses a Boolean value. In other words, if the value is true, it becomes false, and if it is false, it becomes true. Let's try another example. We create a variable with the value true and print it. Now we will apply this operator to it. Now let's look two logical operators. This is what they look like. They are used in conditions. Let's write a method to see how they work in practice. Now let's understand how Java evaluates conditions. Many beginners don't really understand what's happening here. First, Java evaluates conditions from left to right. Second, Java uses something called short-circuit evaluation. This meant it does not always check the entire conditions. Let's look at the end example. Java first checks if a bigger than 5. If this is false, it stops immediately. The second condition is not checked at all. This happens because with AND, but no part is false. The whole expression is false. Now let's look at the for example. Java first checks if a bigger than 5. If this is true, it stops immediately. The second condition is not checked. This is because with or only one true condition is enough. In simple terms, and to look for false. Once it finds it, it stops.
or looks for true. Once it finds it, it stops. But there is an important difference. With AND, the method body runs only if body conditions are true. If one condition is false, the execution stops and the if block will not run. With OR, the method body runs if at least one condition is true. But if the first condition is true, Java stops checking and the if blocks run.
If body
But conditions are false, the if block will not run.
And finally, at the end of this video, let's try to build our own simple calculator. We'll create a method that takes two numbers and an operation symbol. Based on this symbol, the program will decide which action to perform. This is where if and else if come in. The if statement checks a condition. If the condition is true, the code inside the block is executed. The condition is false, Java moves to the next conditions. This is what else if does. It allows us to check multiply conditions one by one. If none of the conditions are true, the else block will be executed. So basically, Java goes step by step and picks the first condition that matches. Now let's look at the example. Here each if or else if checks which operation we passed. As soon as one condition is true, Java executes that blocks and ignores the rest. And that's it. Now you build your own simple calculator. You use variable, methods, conditions, and logical operators. All the core basics of Java in one example. This might look simple, but this is exactly how real programs are built, step by step, combining small pieces of logic. If you understand this, you already have a solid fundamentation to move on. From here, you can improve this calculator, for example, add more operation, handle user input, or make it more interactive. Thank you for watching this video. I'll keep working on explaining things in a simple and clear way, so you really understand how everything works, not just memorize syntax. In the next few lessons, we'll start building simple programs, step by step. We'll learn new concepts and immediately apply them in real examples, not just spend hours on theory. My goal is to create videos where anyone can understand Java easily and see what it can actually be used for. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll check them out. Thanks again for watching and see you in the next video.